Hello, good morning, everyone. How are you? I hope you are doing well.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, if you don't mind, if you feel like and if you don't mind, you can open your camera so that I see that I am not alone. And yeah, during like not only today, but during all the sessions, that will be the basic idea. If you feel like, you can open the cameras, and whenever you want to speak, you can unmute yourself, and we can we can keep the conversation like that. If for any technical reason or practical reason you are outside and or you don't feel like unmuting yourself, you can always write your questions in the chat, and yeah, we will be try to answer them. Okay. On behalf of Localization School, I would like to welcome you, both to you who are present today in the live session, and also other colleagues who will be watching these recordings later. All these all the classes will be recorded for you to watch later, and you'll have access to them till the end of March. So both the classroom content, which the Google Classroom content, the exercise and the presentations will be available, and the video recordings will be available there as well. Okay. Have you been able to access to the platform, to Google Classroom? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So we will be starting today with the localization essentials, and the idea of this class today is to introduce you, in fact, to all the content that you will be seeing in this week and next week. Okay, so whatever I say in this course will be repeated again in other courses and in more details. Okay, so that the idea is that you more or less know what localization is, why it is important, and how is its growth trend going on. Okay, and it will all be connected to the idea of like translation technologies, artificial intelligence, etc. And we will try to situate localization within all these interesting trends that are going on. Okay, I know that some of you already have experience in this area, and some of you are like have been translators and just like maybe mildly heard about localization. I'll ask you later about your experiences. Some of you are academics working in like doing PhDs, master's degrees. Some of you are recent graduates and like you want to know how to navigate in this area. And yeah, some of you are already senior translators and you want to explore new specializations, which here the main specialization that we will be focusing on is localization. And with all its subdomains, the game localization, software localization, website localization, even project management. And we will also talk about the business side of this world as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. This is the seventh edition of Localization School, and before that we did like I think 8, 7 more of Tradumatica Summer School in which we taught translation technologies. So it's very still exciting, like since it's like I am doing it for the first time. So yeah, welcome. I would like to welcome you, Nilgün, Paul, Paula, Fayad, Juan, Anna, thank you for coming to the live session. We are much more crowded, but some like we are 20 around 20 people, but some people are in different time zones, and some people are working during the day and watching the presentation later. So usually we will be around 10 people in this live session. That's from my experience. But like, let's keep the conversation in Telegram group. If you have any questions about the class, if you want to share something funny, interesting, you can also share them there, and we can keep the conversation there. All our professors are also in the group. So if you have any other question that is, if you even if you feel that it's like not that important, ask it. Uh, that's the best time. You have like 8, 9 experts within the Telegram group that will be able to answer you. So if you have any career related question, any research related question, etc., yeah, like the group is the best place the Telegram group is the best place to ask it. Okay. And with that, I will like to just show the Google Classroom page to you now, like just for you to navigate it a bit, and then we will be starting with today's class. Okay, like the first day is always like this, the first, like housekeeping stuff, like all the things that we will be doing. And one thing that happens to me a lot in these classes. Sometimes I forget to share my screen. I think this happens to a lot during Zoom sessions to all of you. If I forget to share the screen, unmute yourself and tell me that, Gökhan, you are not sharing your screen, okay? I know people, some for politeness, they don't want to interrupt, etc. But you can interrupt. Don't worry about that. Okay, so let's start. I'm sharing my screen, and yeah, let me make it a bit smaller. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes? Perfect. And what about the voice? Like my voice, is it like clear? Is there any problem with the voice?
Yep, pretty clear.
Yeah.
Okay, good to hear that. And by the way, those of you who are in different time zones and are like now, if it's for you some weird hour, I'm sorry about that. I mean, we needed to somehow find a day, like some hours that will be suitable for all the professors. And since we have the guarantee of the recordings, we thought that like the Spanish time, because like nearly all of our professors are in Spain. So we kept the Spanish hour. I know Nilgün is joining from United States. One is joining from Vietnam, right?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Oh, perfect. What's the time there, One?
It's 4 p.m. here.
4 p.m. Okay.
Yes.
Not that
Not
bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let me turn back to my screen. Here I am in Google Classroom. Okay, this is the main page. And everything that we will be sharing with you, the presentations, the exercises, if there's any software, it will go here in the classroom part. And there is two sections. One section is the announcements and like some general things. And here, the class content will go into this part called classes. The first class is like my class. I already put the presentation. If you want to follow along with me, you can just click and follow from here, but you don't have to. I will just be sharing the presentation with you now, like while I'm presenting. And yeah, like the classes will go here, and if any professor wants to add something, like if they want to upload like a presentation, a resource or something, they will go here. Okay. Is there anyone who haven't been able to access to this classroom platform, Google Classroom? No, all of you are here. I see that like most of you already did, but just in case, if you have any problem, let me know. There is one irritating thing about the download part, just for you to know. Later we can look together as well. Like when you want to download something, let's say you want to download one of these PDF that Juanjo will be showing you today in the project management class. You first click on the file, and in order to download it, you need to click on these three buttons, like three dots, sorry, and open it in a new window. And here you'll be able to click the download button, like here, it will be here. In most of the cases, it will be like this. Let me repeat. So you are in Google Classroom. You want to download a PDF. You click on the PDF, then click on these three dots, open it in a new window, and the download option either will be shown here or in this three dot. Okay, it's irritating. It should be like just one step, but it's just two steps. Like first you open the file, and then after opening it, this download option becomes active. I mean, at this first day, you may have some issues, but later you get accustomed to it. Like we will have 10 full days of studying together, so it will not be a problem for you later. I also added a small video tutorial of how to download the file from Google Classroom if you want to watch it, but probably it will not be necessary. Okay. Is there any question before we start with the presentation?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Yeah, the Telegram group will be active, as I said, just to repeat. We will always use the same Zoom link to enter. Okay, it's like a classroom that we have, and you'll just click on the same link and enter to the classroom to follow the classes. Okay. And I put a list of like most of the software that we will be using in this class in this Google Sheet, in case you need to get permission from your company, etc., for the to be able to install any app. You can enter here and just check their names and ask permission from your company, because in previous years some people told me that they were following the classes on their like company computer and they needed to get permission, so we added them here. There is one missing, memo queue. Today I will be sending you its details for you to be able to upload it. Okay. Now let us start with our presentation. Are you ready? Let me stop sharing. Right. Okay, and see you. Okay, there's 9 of us here. Perfect. And we will be starting with the localization class. Okay. Is there anyone who has experience with localization? I know there are some, but can you share your experience with us? Paula, I see that yeah, I saw in your CV that what you have written, you have the experience. Yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I have been working localization now for a bit. I graduated in translation and applied languages a while ago, and I worked as a translator for a long time. But I've always wanted to go into localization, and I did now. But the experience that I have in localization is rather from experience. So that's why I'm here, to actually gain a more theoretical, I suppose, insight. So yeah, so really looking forward to
Nice.
polishing up the skills. Yeah.
Can I ask you a follow-up question? Like, were you managing localization projects, or were you like working on as a practitioner in your projects? How was it? Like, translating
Yeah,
localization
I actually worked on both sides. So
okay.
yeah, so from the start of my career, I'd say the first couple of years, mainly as a freelance translator, and then also as a manager for 1 or 2 years, and now in localization.
Okay. Last question. What are your languages? I saw that you had lots of languages.
A few years. So I'm originally from Brazil, so I have Brazilian Portuguese, and my father is German, so I have German as well, and that was one of the languages that I studied as well. Well, English, I live in Ireland, and Spanish and Dutch. So those are my working language.
Perfect. Thank you, Paula.
No problem.
I hope we can teach you something, because you have lots of experience.
Oh wow, no.
Cool.
No, I'll definitely be learning here.
Thank you.
Thank
Anyone
you.
else, like anyone with the localization experience under
I
their
have
belt?
none. I have none.
None? Okay.
Only some book knowledge.
Okay. Perfect. Nilgün. That's also nice. You'll be learning a lot, I guess. Paul,
I know.
you want to say something?
Yeah, I did a little bit of localization, but it was 20 years ago when I was working in an agency as a translator.
Oh, wow.
So I need to
Wow.
get up to date really and find out new tools and get up to date. That's what we're here for.
Perfect. Well, you're welcome. I see that I used to live very close by where you live in Barcelona. You are in Barcelona right now, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Nice to see a neighbor here. Okay. Well, anyone else who want to share one last person to share their localization experience? One?
Hi. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I am working on localization industries, and I just have learned from the technique things and or from work environment from my colleagues, and now I'm also do some kind of really kind of engineering for the full
Oh.
process of some kind of format myself. Yes, and I mean yeah, it's various to learn, so I would like to learn something new more and really get up to date about the technology as well
Perfect.
for this industry.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Wow,
Thank you.
you've been doing in the like we are have been in the more engineering side of the stuff, like the of
Yes, I
localization.
can some basic thing for like some cartoon, but not all I know. I mean,
Okay, well, cool. I hope, I mean, hope, and I mean, I designed it in a way that it will be helpful to all of you in some way. Like both our courses is like both technical, like half of it is quite technical, half of it is quite business oriented, business and like more, I mean, less technical, let's say. Okay. If you
Hey,
feel,
Joker. Okay,
yes,
sorry to
yes,
interrupt
Kaya,
you, Joker.
nice to talk to you.
Hey,
Yeah,
how are you doing? Are you okay?
yeah, all good here.
All right, all right. So, in response to your question, actually, I'm holding a master degree in translation from English to Arabic, Arabic to English, vice versa. So, but unfortunately, actually, I have no idea about specifically the word, the localization. So that's why I'm impressed of the title of the training, and we hope that we are learning too much and much about localization through this program.
Well, yeah, I mean we will do our best. Yeah, that's the
All right,
idea here. Yeah. Okay,
sure.
well, okay, it's been nice to hear from you now, guys. And I mean we'll continue to hear from you during this class and in the others. But yeah, let's start with the session. Again, I will be asking you the question of what is the things that come to your mind when you hear the word localization. So is my oops. You don't see my presentation because I haven't shared my screen. This time I remembered that. Okay, so I will be using this pointer. If you feel irritated by it, please tell me. But I like it like to just highlight some places on the presentation. Okay, so I guess you are seeing my screen and you are hearing me correctly. Yes?
Yes, we can see you, we can hear you, or I can.
Everything's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, it
Thank
is
you, Anna.
perfect. We can see it.
Okay, well, then let's see our time. Okay, we are good on time. Let's start. Okay, so like very briefly about me, I wrote a lot of things here, but just like very briefly. Currently, I am working in Pompeu Fabra University in Translation and Language Sciences Department as a lecturer and researcher. And my research topic and like my interest has always been on technology, translation technologies. I worked on machine translation in my PhD and in my postdoc studies, and all my publications are related to this topic. And doing that, I was also working as a localization specialist in the last 15 years. And currently, my focus, like I only focus on, I mean, although I work in different domains in video games, website, app, and software localization, currently I just work with Disney Plus, and I am managing their, like the quality of their Turkish products. So, but it's not like subtitling or dubbing, etc. It's localization, the platform's localization stuff, like both the app and the website and all the other platforms. We can talk about this. It's a very interesting job that I've been having. And yeah, I taught in Universitat Autónoma de Barcelona, Autonomous University of Barcelona in undergraduate and master level. And then I founded this localization school as an independent endeavor. It's part of what I call Translation Technologies Academy. Translation Technologies Academy has localization school and other like one-time teachings, small teachings like workshop, webinars, etc. Okay, and my working language are Turkish, English, Spanish, and Catalan, but I speak dialect of Arabic called Levantine Arabic, and it's from the south of Turkey. I'm originally Turkish, but I've been living in Spain for 10 years. So yeah, like my last 10 years I've been here. And yeah, and I like to program. I like programming with PHP, MySQL, Python. And yeah, and like the reason why I wanted to create all these endeavor was that like the translation departments in not only in Spain but also in Turkey, in other part of the world, like this technical aspect and the localization related aspects, and people in the industry wanted something that they can I mean they wanted to learn about localization and machine translation and Python programming language, etc. And there wasn't any possibility. And yeah, that the idea was to bridge this gap with creating a school like this in an online platform and bringing experts from different like in relevant domain here. So for example, in the case of Python, you'll have a Python course tomorrow, an introductory one, of course, but it will help you get a full start to learn Python if you need to. And yeah, we will be talking a lot about this tomorrow as well and in the next days. Okay. So yeah, again, very briefly, Translation Technologies Academy began as a project that we had in Autonomous University of Barcelona, but then during during COVID, some professors left the university. I finished my PhD, etc., and then we converted into an independent organization, which has training for industry professionals and academics. And yeah, that's the context for you. And let's start with our class on localization essentials. I called it essentials because we want all the basics to kickstart the next classes, because we have dedicated class on audiovisual translation, dedicated class on game localization, web localization, app localization, SEO localization. Like maybe now for you, these keywords do not mean anything, but yeah, they will slowly start to gain meaning during these 2 weeks. Okay. And today we will be looking at what localization is. We will look at its short history, like very briefly, like the context from which it was born, the key concepts that you need to know, especially for the ones who are really beginners in the world of localization, the content type that we deal with in localization, and very interestingly, this is something that I am following a lot recently, the roles, what kind of roles there are, especially with the entry of the large language models into this world, like how things are changing, etc. And type of organization in which localization professionals can work. Okay, this is a word that we will like talk about it later, but this is a word that has gained a lot of meaning and extended in meaning. But for now, I will call anyone who is working in localization domain, localization professional. Okay, there is the word localization specialist as well, but let's stick with localization professional for now. Okay, so let's just start with a small survey just to activate our brains for discussion. Here there is a link for a small survey question, and the question is very simple. I will just show it to you. Oops, no, not this. I will share it in the chat in Zoom, okay, in a few seconds. If you are in the chat, you can click on it and this should open up. I mean, you'll see a screen that is a bit different. And there is just one question. What are the things that come to your mind when you hear the word localization? You can say nothing, but also like other things that come to your mind as well. if you have been, if you have heard about it while you are translating in academia, etc. Okay, technology. Someone says technology. Using everything that you say, we'll try to create a definition altogether and look at the standard definition there is. Someone said machine, software, adapting. Yes, I like this keyword. It is really representative of what localization is about. Translation, of course, yeah. At the end of the day, most people, like when they say they're working as localization specialists, localization professionals, etc., in their day-to-day, they translate, but they translate in a different platform with different criteria, and we will be looking at what this different criteria is. Any other answers? Again, adaptation, yes. Anything related to culture? Naturalizing, okay, that's a nice word that reminds us of adapting as well. There is software localization, and like localization involves a lot of technology, also machine translation. We will be looking at different cases. Okay, any other answers? No? Perfect. Let's try to combine this with the official definitions. Localization, in fact, it doesn't have to include, like, even if you don't have computers, even if you don't have technology, you can still talk about localization. Although today, of course, we said that it is very related to technology, but think of a company like Coca-Cola, them trying to enter new markets like, I don't know, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Vietnam, China, etc., and all the work that is needed to adapt this product into this target culture. Okay, this can also be a localization scenario, but let's keep it in one side and try to construct our definitions. The first definition is from Lisa, which used to be an industry association that try to standardize localization processes and definitions, etc. And this definition says taking a product and making it linguistically and culturally appropriate to the target locale, country, region, and language. So locale would more or less mean country, region, and the language, where it will be used and sold. Okay, here we have a product. It doesn't necessarily say a digital product. Okay, and we try to make it adapted linguistically and culturally. Okay, then this definition is from 2000s. Okay, I think it's 25 years ago. Then we have the definition provided by GALA. GALA is the biggest industry association that we have in the world for localization. And it says localization is the process of adapting a product or content to a specific locale or market. Here we have the adaptation of a product or content. Above, we don't talk about content like in the Lisa, but here there is the addition of content. And again, the highlight is on the process of adapting, like the process of adapting. Let's look at the third one. This is from a class provided by Google called Localization Essential. And it is, again, like very similar. It just combines the two, simplifies it. Localization is the process of making a product linguistically and culturally appropriate for the target country or region. I would say linguistically, technically, and culturally appropriate, okay, for the target country or region. Okay, when you think about it, like for a usually it's American, or like it start with an American company trying to sell its product to different countries. Okay, and the question that arises at this point is like why we need to adopt it? Why wouldn't we want to simply like just export the product to this country or make it available in these countries? What are the problems of doing that like this? Why wouldn't you want to just keep your product as original and make changes? Because it requires some changes, like right, like transformations changes when you want to go from United States to Japan, when you want to go from United States to Turkey, to Spain, to France. Why are we doing these changes? Why are we trying to be culturally and linguistically appropriate to the target market or country? Anyone want to? I know it's a silly question, but just like to brainstorm a bit. Why do we want to do that? And would you like to answer, guys?
I think the reason for that is to let the end user can understand and make the decision quickly
Yeah.
if they understand
Yes.
everything correctly. Yes.
And why do we want
Thank
the user to understand everything correctly and use correctly the product? Like why?
So they will
Well,
use the product, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, we want them to use our products, to consume our product and to buy our products, right? And why do we intuitively accept that if we don't translate the content of this product, if we don't make the necessary changes, the product would not sell, right? Do you agree with this observation?
Exactly.
Is it the case for all kind of products, or are there any products that you can think of that sell better when they are not translated or localized? I have two examples in mind. I mean, maybe two. Any product that sells better when it's not localized? Or adapted or changed?
I think many products, even without the localization guideline, they still can be sold over the worldwide. But maybe the instruction could be very useful for the end user to use, and they can really refer to troubleshoot the issues, and they won't have brings any disadvantage or any issue
Yeah, I mean,
affecting
sure.
the product themselves.
Sure. Yeah. Like what I had in mind for these products that would sell better when they're unlocalized was the perfume industry. Think about the perfume industry. It's all in French, right? Like, I don't know if maybe in some countries it's different, but in Turkey, for example, or in Spain as well, I would say, when you buy a perfume, if it's like everything is written in French, it feels like exotic, right? Like people want to buy it even more. So um, maybe when you talk about the cars in some fashion brands as well, like when everything is in Italian, it feels somehow more fancier, you know. But other than that, I mean, these are some niche cases, small cases in which it's vice versa. There was a friend who did a master's degree, like master's thesis on this topic, and it was interesting, yeah, because we just for localization industry assumed that all the products or the content will function better. I mean, it will sell better or it will be used more when it is like localized or adapted into the target culture. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight these few edge cases. I don't know if you have any other similar edge cases that you can think of. I know I mean, yeah, it has been like just a few of them. Okay, well, yeah, just keep in mind that in general, we would be talking about the process of making a product linguistically and culturally appropriate for the target country or region. We will not always talk about country in the case of region, in the case of localization, because it turns out that what a country is very complicated, as you may have experienced or realized. Why? Why is that? Why do you think it's like this? Sometimes instead of country or region, if you enter some websites, they would be using market instead, or they will just say locale. Why do you think it's complicated?
Some countries have several languages. Some languages are in several countries. So yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. This is the innocent reason. There is the non-innocent reason, like the political reason as well.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue.
Yeah. Well, let me just briefly tell you a story about, like, I was working for like the localization of Inditex Group for like 5-6 years. These Zara, Bershka, etc. You know, all these brands. And at first, when they created the websites for online shopping, etc., the option of language, there was the option of language and country, and in the end, they had to change it because uh, they, I think they were warned by the Chinese market that if they write country and include Hong Kong and Taiwan and Macau, they would have problem. So in the end, they just like remove the word country and change it into market to just like save them. If you like one day see like a list of country and you see market written, market, or I don't know, like local written, the reason is usually that. There are some other countries, regions that are not officially recognized, etc. But I mean, since the moment you create an online product like a website or an app, etc., it's global. Like everyone from the world can access it. So you should always be very careful about what words you are using. It may sound very silly for us, like one word. You say like, wow, whatever. But in the case of big companies, it can cause them to be banned in this big country like China, which would cost them a lot of money, and they will not be able to operate there basically. Okay, yeah, that's why we would hear the mention of local or region or market in localization world. And as Paula said, it's also like some countries have multiple language, like Spain. In Spain, we have Spanish, Catalan, Basque, and Galician as official language. And in the case of United Kingdom and United States and Canada, they all have English, but they're all different locales. Okay, so let's introduce the concept of locale as well. That's from where localization, the word localization derives, locale. And it's a more of a technical term, but now it gained a general meaning as well. It's a concept used in software to define the user interface language and any region language specific parameters depending on the user's preferences. Okay. We know the part about the user interface language. It can be, I mean, if I am in Spain, I can change from Spanish to Catalan in this case, or like I can change from United States English to British English. But what about the region language specific parameters? What changes when you change your website from, like, let's say that you are on Amazon, this shopping giant, like e-commerce giant. What changes when you change from United Kingdom English into United States English? What other things change other than language?
Currency.
Currency,
yes.
definitely. First, the currency changes. They have different currencies. What else?
Dates,
Dates. Yeah, the way dates are expressed
American
in
and
the
British.
Yeah.
Yes.
What else?
Synonyms, flat and apartment, for
Yeah.
example.
It would be an interesting research thing to see if Amazon really makes these changes. Probably they do, but yeah, that can be, yeah. Because yeah, people will be searching differently, right? Like they will search different words for the same thing in England and in United States. And what other, again, general parameter would change? What else? Something important?
Measurement units.
Yes, definitely. Measurement units are pretty important. And yeah, it can, I mean, if you don't configure these parameters correctly, you would have a lot of problems, because yeah, they use different units of measurements. Anything else? Like maybe 1-2 things left? Yeah, and you said all the most
The
important ones.
graphics, maybe?
Yes, the graphics may change. Yeah. Do you have an example in mind, Anna? Like,
Actually, I don't right now.
okay. Yeah, I mean, some graphics may not be appropriate in some countries for some cultural connotations, and in the others they may be. And yeah, you are right about that. Or for some reason, like the historical reason, they use that color in that country and they don't want to change it. They just keep it. Yeah. What about the I'm translating from Spanish. The addresses, home addresses. Probably the way the addresses are written slightly change the postal code system, etc. That would change as well, right? Yeah.
Yes,
So
so
that's
the address number,
Mhm.
we place it in the end after the name of the address in Greece, not in the beginning, yes.
Okay. And some countries start with the most general, like from the biggest area, like let's say Spain, Barcelona, I don't know what street. And some countries start with street, city name, then the country, and then the postal code. So like these things can be, can be important. In the case of a product that has, let's say, Arabic as well, the dates would the way, like, because in the case of Microsoft, for example, they have English Saudi Arabia and English United States, and maybe I don't know if they use the calendar that we are using in Europe, or they use the it's called the moon calendar, Fayad, or I don't remember. It's the
Hijri calendar. Hijri, yes.
Hijri calendar,
Hijri
right?
calendar.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's basically, I mean, it's a different calendar, and maybe if you'll be changing from one locale to the other, this configuration would be important as well, like being able to convert it if it's being used. Is it used in digital products, Fayyad? Like it's usually it's more like for the religious content and for the publications, or how common is it? Now that I
Officially,
found
the Gregorian is used officially, right? So, and the Hijri date is there as well, as you said,
and they
for
are shown,
sure.
both of them are shown always, or
I don't think so, no.
okay. Okay, because the other day I saw a map, I will share it in the Telegram group. It was showing that, like, what's the year now around the world, and there was I mean, the case of the Gregorian one, the one that we use in Europe, in the like Western countries, and there was the Hijri, and there are some countries that also have different calendars. Do you know any other calendars, guys, that are used in different countries, or?
I think this is a Hebrew calendar, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. There was one in China or Cambodia. I will find this. Yeah, I saw it on Reddit and I liked it. But yeah, okay. So I mean, I guess it's more or less clear, like what are the main language specific parameters and user interface language stuff and its relation to locale. Okay, and yeah, in the yeah.
May I
Yes.
interrupt you for a second, please?
Yeah,
So
sure.
there, yes, in paragraph 2, the previous, it's there already. All right. Yes, localization also referred to as L or I10.
No, that's
10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what does this stand for, please?
Try to guess.
Yes, yeah, because you moved forward actually to the other slide. All right, sorry.
Okay. No, no,
It
like
is coming anyways. All right.
yeah, like this is something, it's nice that you ask it, because these abbreviations, there are four abbreviations. Later I will show you. I can show them to you now as well. So this is what the reason why there is 10 here. Does anyone know why there is 10 here? Like L, 10, N?
L10N, yes.
Does anyone know? Anyone?
That's the 10 letter between L's and N.
Yes, thank you, Juan. Yeah, so since this word, like, we will learn about localization, globalization, internationalization, and translation is not that long, but yeah. And they're all abbreviated according to the number of letters between L and N. There are 10 letters here. In the case of internationalization, there are 18, which is crazy, like it's 10, 20 words, a 20-letter word. We will look at it later. And if you share something on Twitter or on LinkedIn, usually instead of writing all of this, people would write L10 and this abbreviation, okay?
Interesting, thank you very much.
You're welcome. We will be using it a lot, so yeah, here as well it's written. And there are even like some companies called like this, or they create journals with this name. So yeah, and some people on purpose pronounce it as lion, okay? Lion, like the animal lion. And the company Lion Bridge, its name comes from there. Do you know the Lion Bridge? Anyone work with them? It's a very big translation company. So yeah, some industry gossip about namings. In the case of Gala, like if I were to return to the definitions and what localization include, it may include adapting graphics to target markets. So as we said, when Anna said it, it may, like localization may include changing the graphics for some reason, because some graphics may not be appropriate in some cultures because of the, I don't know, like in some cultures it is not very nicely seen to show people. In some other, yes, in some markets, some celebrities are put in the product, and these celebrities may not be known in the target culture. So you would need to find someone that is, you need to translate this celebrity into the target culture and find someone who can replace that person. You may need to modify, change the content based on the preferences of taste and consumption habits of your target market. It is usually accompanied by research. Some people go and research the habits of the people or the taste, etc. For example, in the case, like now that there is the word taste, I know we talk about digital content, but in the case of Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola is not the same around the world. It may have less sugar, more sugar in different countries. There was again a map of like how much sugar it has depending on the country. And it's not just like the taste preferences of the target culture. It also includes the legal requirements. In some countries, you can not put more sugar. You need to be putting less sugar, or I don't know, like some people, have more healthier preferences. So instead of selling the standard Coca-Cola, you sell the Coca-Cola Zero. I'm talking about a lot about Coca-Cola, but I don't drink it. Anyway, I was surprised, like once when my father, like years ago, brought some Coca-Cola with, like, it was spicy, you know, like something that we wouldn't have in Turkey at that time. Maybe now we have it. I was so surprised, like the same thing, same bottle, but the content was different. That's like localization summarized for me. Okay. What else? We say the adapting the design and layout, converting the local requirements, currency and units of measure, the local formats of days, addresses, phone numbers. We didn't say phone numbers in the case of Amazon, but think about the phone number format can be very different from country to country. And local regulations and legal requirements. It is something in the past, it used to be not that important, but now the countries are very strict about some, like the way digital products are sold or presented, or if there are any claims that is not true. Like in the case of Disney, in our case, it happens a lot. Like we translate, like the translation part, like translating something is very, very small. It can be like one word, one sentence, like a few sentences, but everything you need to go to the legal department. There's a legal department in each country, like in the regions. For example, for Turkey, there's a legal department that checks the translation if they are legally okay or not because of translation mistakes, but also they check whether the claim, for example, it says only on Netflix or only on Disney Plus, and you put this small sentence, but then it turns out that the same movie or series is also in another platform, and it can create legal cases against you because you claim that you have exclusivity, but you don't have it. Things like this, and there are like many things like it's just like lots of emails. Localization departments send lots of emails, do lots of video calls just to solve these kinds of problems. And yeah, and it requires synchronization between the translation localization team and the legal team and the project management team, and that's like the same content going back and forth lots of time. Yeah, well, we can gossip about these things later. Okay, and let's see, like from the perspective of a translator, what localization mean in day-to-day. In our case, if you are a translator, if you have always been a translator, what it means is translating digital products. Okay, I put translating in apostrophe because it will be translating the content, but it will have other things happening as well at the same time. And by digital product, I mean websites, video games, software, and mobile apps. And these translations are presented on digital platforms. Okay, what are these digital platforms? It can be PC, smartphone, tablet, any Internet of Things devices like a smartwatch, or like now there are different hybrid products and there are gaming consoles. Now there are smart TVs, and these different platforms in which the translations are presented bring with them some limitations. Okay, it's not the same translating a content like a sentence or a paragraph on a paper to be printed and distributed, and it's not the same to translate it to be shown on a smartwatch which has a very small space. You have a character limitations, and in the case of like menu items of apps with software, website, etc., you always have these kinds of limitations. And besides being digital product and presented on digital platform, these translations do not come to you in a Word document. Usually they are nested within code. The file types are different. That's like one of the basic day-to-day difference for you. These translations come in HTML files, XML files, PO files, JSON, PHP, strings, and their processing is different. Like you use different tools to process these file types to separate what is translatable from what is not translatable. Okay, and it requires some more technical knowledge than a typical translation. You can be a perfect translator, but to be able to work with these strings, or like we will be using the word string in the same meaning as a sentence, but in a file type that is different. Okay, like in HTML, XML, etc. There will be more on this in the app localization class and website localization class. But yeah, so what is localization for a translator? It is translating digital content that is related to website, video, games, software, etc., that will be shown on a digital platform with its own space limitations, and it will come to us in file types that are loaded with code. and we would be having text with code. Okay, and the most important competence or skill of a translator with a localization skill is understanding this kind of sentences that has code inside. Okay, I said code, but usually when we refer to these sentences, these numbers here that you see, we call them tags. Okay, if it's the first time that you are seeing something like this. And can anyone tell me what is this sentence and why there are these numbers here and what do they mean? They may mean. So I'm talking about this sentence, esteem one, no.
The numbers are probably placeholders for
Yes.
products or names or.
And can you guess what do they may they stand for? Esteem.
Yeah, probably esteemed customer or esteemed or the name or
the name of the
person's
esteemed
name.
Paula. Thanks
Yeah.
for purchasing.
Yeah, product such and such.
Yeah, an iPhone for.
Yeah.
It can be like, no, it should be a subscription product. Purchasing Netflix Premium.
Yeah.
4 and 3 and 4.
Price. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
or
like
yeah.
$34 a month.
Dollars a month. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And yeah, as Paula said, they are called placeholders because they hold the place of something that will come here. And the content is dynamic. So if it is sent to 1,000 people, for each person, that one will change with their name probably. And if they are in different countries, the amount of the money that they will pay would change. Like in one country, it will be $50. In the other, it will be 35 Turkish liras. Or yeah. And what problems may I have translating this sentence into different languages? Can anyone guess?
With the tags 3 and 4, the currency may come before or after the amount.
Yes, perfect, Paul. Thank you. Yeah, in some countries like Turkey, for example, you would put first the number and then the currency. So it's like 10 Turkish liras. In the case of United States, it will be first the dollar and then the number, right? Like dollar sign, and then 10, 20, etc. So you need to change the order of the tags to correctly display the translation in your target translation. And what other problem may I have here with the first part, for example? Those of you who have different languages.
Yeah, the word esteem might be gendered in some languages.
Yes.
So you have feminine and masculine.
Yeah, in the case of Spanish, you would have estimada or estimado. So in fact, esteemed should be either, again, like vary dynamically. It should be like one or the other option. Or another solution would be to use something that can be, or remove it, right? Like maybe if you remove esteemed, I don't know how it would sound like, but if you say, Gökhan, thanks for purchasing, I don't know what. Okay, this kind of, like, translators are very accustomed to using this kind of strategies to avoid this kind of problems. And yeah, like think about it happened to me. Like, I mean, it didn't affect me, but it just caused me to translate it 2 times. We translated a dating app like Tinder, Tinder, Bumble, whatever. And as you may guess, like it's there like males and females, and everything should be like taught in twice, like in this, like similar to this, like estimado, I don't know what. And for the Spanish translators, it was a big problem for us. I mean, for us, we would just use the same word, the Turkish people. It's not gendered in our case. You just say sayın, no, or you just say hello in this case. But in their case, most of the time, the adjectives had to be translated differently in each case when referring to males and females. So yeah, and localization specialists would need to be very aware of these problems, and they need to be able to imagine where will this translation go and what other limitations or technical issues may be. Like if someone who doesn't have any localization experience translate this, they would have a problem. They would not understand the sentence, like because of these variables. And there are some kind of tags that are very, like we call them highly tagged, you know, like or intensely tagged. There are lots of tags in them. Like they send you the sentence to translate it, but there's nothing that translate like a human translate. You just change the order of the tags. That's what your role is. That's why I say you need to be able to understand text with code or simply the code. You don't code per se. You don't need to like know what all this document is, like all the code inside this file is about, but you need to be like when there is the translatable strings with codes, you need to be able to understand them and transfer them, I would say or localize them accordingly. Okay, is in the Arabic, you would have problem as well, right, Fayad? If you want to translate here, do you have the two different esteemed or you just have one? Oops. Or in another language, do you foresee any problem in the Greek, for example? Any issue?
Yes, there would be an issue.
Okay,
It's
again,
gender
there's
specific, yes.
okay, well, good to know. And yeah, like, and each time, I mean, if you don't know what the tag stands for, and it happens a lot in translation project, you always talk to the project managers, ask them what they are, and instead of guessing is a very dangerous thing in these kinds of scenarios. You guess that, I don't know, let's say that you guess that this is a product and you translate it accordingly, but then it turns out that it's not a product, it's a, I don't know, a subscription plan that is, I don't know what. Okay, in the case of languages like Turkish that are agglutinative, which have suffixes with them, we may have different problems that you may not, and unfortunately, they do not have solutions, or you need to change the sentence structure totally, because in the case of Turkish, you may need to add a suffix to the product. Like, let's say, abonelik means subscription, but within the sentence, you need to say aboneliğini. And if there are there are lots of different like product names, you would need to know what the product is to be able to put the correct suffix, because the suffix need to harmonize with the vowel. And yes, that's like a super big issue. And it happened to us a lot, like lots of products that Turkish weaver sees with some incorrect suffixation. The reason is that probably the translator haven't seen what the products will be, or they couldn't find it. In one solution would be to take the product out and saying that thanks for buying this product, colon, and then write the name of the product. But yeah, it's like language specific. And I'm sure, like if I talk to you one by one in all your languages, there are these kinds of issues that need to be solved. Because usually the source text is English and everything is taught as if all the languages are like English. But yeah, our duty as a localization experts is to tell to these developers, like the people who write the code, that no, all the languages are not the same. Every language has their own intricacies, and we need to be visible and like vocal about that and tell them all these issues if they don't know about that. Okay. Any question up until now?
Nope, pretty good.
Cool. I'm continuing, and now just a few figures for you. If at one point you need to convince someone about the importance of localization and why localization matters, or if you want to sell your services to someone, you can use these figures here. why do we need to care about localization? Well, 87% of the consumers who can't read in English will not buy your product or services from your English website. People usually, when it comes to the money, they are very they need to feel comfortable, and seeing content in there, seeing all the steps in their language will make them comfortable. If not, they will not buy from your website. I mean, maybe since we are from the translation world, we are accustomed to deal with website in different languages. But if you think about monolingual people, like people who only speak one language, when they enter into an English website or a website that they don't understand, they just simply don't buy. I mean, even if there is the machine translation option, when they see that, in fact, it's also an interesting research topic, and I think for some language it has been done. Like when people see that like some sentences are not correct, something uncanny, they will just not buy from this website, and they will leave the website without buying, which is a lot of customer for the company. So they will need to localize it. There was the example of a website that has everything translated into Spanish, from English into Spanish, and only the checkout page where you enter your credit card detail and like all the payment information. It was in English, and people were just leaving their cart, like the cart, like the shopping cart, and they were just leaving without buying, which is a big loss for the company if you think about it. Okay. And yeah, another figure, like 90% of the online users would choose native language when it's available. 90%, 87%, these are very high percentages. And still, even this year, this is like, and it is an old figure, but still today, localization and translation is like one of the fastest growing industry, still, even with the AI boom. So yeah, it's big, and as you see, there has always been a growth projection for our industry. This is from NIMSI. NIMSI provides like analysis and reports on our industry, how it changed, etc. So it still seems to be safe, even though we have been we have had machine translation since 2016. And the AI translation, which we will be talking about later, since 2022 is there. We are still holding up, and the industry is still growing in most domains. But yeah, so it is attractive still. And yeah, this is again an old figure, but even if it's not 72% now, it's still more than 50% probably. Like the companies think about increasing their localization volume. And there are new cases with all the AI is there, and some companies are using them for the localization. It is making it it's making it possible to localize content that in the past wasn't localized because of cost reasons, and now it's becoming possible to localize it with AI plus a translator scenario, and it is again helping with the growth of content to be localized. Okay, so just a few figures for you, and very briefly how localization was born, because it may be nice to have some background context about localization. So it's a byproduct of the computer technology, really. And computer technology was born mostly in the United States, and the companies like Microsoft, I think Dell was one of them as well. When they had like enough customers and they grow enough with their PC and software, etc., they wanted to expand to other markets like Europe, and firstly in Europe and Japan. And they started with in-house localization departments, which translated the likes of the operating systems of Windows and all the other products that they had. But in 1990s, they realized that it's a huge task, like to localize all the content of these products in digital products into all the European markets that they are interested in, to Japan, etc. And they started to outsource. And one of the first companies to convert from translation company to localization company become Lionbridge, which is I think they are Dutch, but now they are, I think, also like they are global, they are everywhere. But it was born in Netherlands. They changed the name of the company from Inc. to Lionbridge, and they become one of the first company that like provide service to these technology companies. In 2000, Google launched in 10 languages, which was also important because by then probably the one who had access to computer in 1990s, they mostly had it in English. And then Google launched 10 languages and now more, and now they have more than, I think, like 50, 60 interface languages. And in Google Translate, they provide many, many more languages. Do you know which is the website that has the localized into more languages in the world? Like the most localized website in the world, okay, to put it correctly, which is an interesting case. Any guesses?
Wikipedia.
Good guess, Paul. It is like it has more than 100 languages, but no, it's not Wikipedia. Any other guess?
Is it Google?
It's not Google. There is a website that has been localized into 900 languages, more than 900 languages. Other guesses?
Something biblical.
Yes, you're close. It's a religious website, not a technology company, interestingly. Let me write
The
it.
Bible?
Not the Bible.
Mhm.
It's JWORD, Jehovah Witnesses. It's pretty
Yes,
interesting.
I'm
Like
aware of that site, yes.
it's like a 9. I cannot imagine, like the closest one is like 120 languages, and they are like at 900 language, which is, yeah, like they have like even some African tribal languages being translated and updated daily, which is crazy. And interestingly, now people who are working on artificial intelligence and machine translation, they need a lot of data in different languages to train their AI systems. And since in some languages you don't have any other data source than the JWORG, they take the data from them because it's also publicly available, all the translations. And funnily, our machine translation systems are fed with this data, like religious data. And I wonder how they normalize the data not to be religious.
Is it done by volunteers?
I don't know about their work processes, but I guess they are like volunteers or
Must
they're
be.
part of these like religious group. If you have someone from like different corners of the world, probably, yeah, that should be volunteers. But it's pretty interesting that like no other technology company has that much data like them. Now, like as a side effect, ChatGPT can also, since ChatGPT has like sucked all the data on the internet and whatever is available on the internet, it can detect to some degree some small language, like not small, I don't like saying small languages with less resources. It can be able to detect them and even try to translate them, which is interesting as well. But yeah, there's a big difference. And if you think about it, for any website that like any company that has a website, it's very prestigious for them to have many languages, right? But in general, companies in the localization industry have between like 10 to 50 not sorry, the technology companies usually have 10 to 50 languages in their interfaces. But you'll be surprised how few languages some big companies, big products like Instagram or TikTok have. You would expect them to have like many languages, but they just simply don't care, unfortunately. Okay, so let's see, how are we on time? Okay, great. Any questions up until now? No? Okay, so far so good. For the newcomers to our industry, I will introduce you some concepts. Again, just to repeat, we will be talking about them in the other classes as well in more details. The class, is introductory class is just as its name suggests, to bring you a like higher level definitions of the key concept and to familiarize you with this concept. Okay. I also like to talk about this. Do you know what this abbreviation stands for? Some abbreviations for you. GAFAM?
Nope.
Nope. Anyone? It's like from in the context of technology, of course. This is Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft. So these are the big five, they call them as well. Usually it's abbreviated like this. They are like some of the most valuable companies in the world. These are all the Western companies, and here we have the Eastern rivals. Anyone can guess what they can be? Anyone with the knowledge of the Eastern technology companies?
Maybe the last one is Xiaomi.
Yes.
That's the only company I know who's starting from an X.
Yeah, correct. Good, thank you, Anna. Yeah, does anyone know Baidu? Baidu is the Chinese alternative of Google, but it's pretty powerful. A, no one make shops from A, Alibaba. Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent. Do you know Tencent, the company? They own WeChat, which is pretty famous in East, like China and the countries around China. Do I have a, yeah, so here it is. Tencent is super big and powerful. They have, I mean, they are like, if you think about it, we have ChatGPT in this side, and they have, now they are creating a ChatGPT alternative, and they are pretty powerful, and they own a lot of things. Is there any gamer here who plays PUBG, the game? Let me type it. Or do you know this game called PUBG? It's owned by Tencent, and in the Americans would know about maybe Fortnite. Yeah. So these are very big popular games among teenagers and yeah, like people who feel like teenagers. Yeah, it's owned by them. So they are pretty big. And why do I mention their names? The thing is that like when we work in the localization industry, everything that we use as a daily user and also the products that we localize, etc., somehow are related to these big companies. Either, I mean, I am now talking to you on a PC that has Windows, which is Microsoft product, and I am presenting to you on Google Slides, which is a Google product. And yeah, my phone is here, it's an iPhone, and I mean, we cannot escape from, it's like pretty hard to escape these foundational platforms that are around us. And the case is the same for the Chinese companies. Again, there are a few big technology companies that are determining everything that has happened and that will happen. Like if you use a phone, It's either Android or iOS, like the Apple's version. In the case of China, there would be some alternatives to that as well. And our localization decisions are determined by them. There is no diversity, like there is diversity, but it's like most of the people would be using these products. And like if you know, as a Turkish localization specialist, do you know the language preferences used in Google and Microsoft or Apple? You more or less dominate like how, like what is the, like let's say the technology dialect in my country, like the things that are used in Turkey. If not, your users may not understand you because, yeah, I mean, you'd be you'd be localizing a product, like let's say a software within Windows, and most of the commands, the menu items, etc., would need to be compatible with how Microsoft uses them. Okay, or in the case of Android, you'd need to know how Google Chrome functions or how the Android Turkish language function, etc. Okay, that's why I like to mention them, and just to show like how big they are. Like in the past, like the biggest companies were oil companies, in most oil or car companies. If you look at today, I mean, this is from 2018, but today it's even more. We have Nvidia as well. They're like nearly all um, technology companies, with the exception of Saudi Aramco, which is the um, Saudi oil company. And other than that, all the big companies are technology companies in the world. So yeah, it's good to know them. But if you want alternatives, open source alternative, like later we'll talk about what open source is. There are always alternatives to all these products. I also like to show them, like just in case you want to keep away with these giants. There's a website called Open Source Alternative. So if you want to use anything, let's say you want to use I don't know, some Twitter alternative, you have Mastodon, I don't know, you want a Photoshop alternative. If Photoshop, it shows you like these two options. You write the name of the product, you want to find free and open alternatives. So this tool, for example, GIMP, is quite popular, and it's an alternative to Photoshop, which is very expensive and it's like proprietary, etc. So keep in mind this website to find free alternatives. And yeah, having said that, let me enter into the key concepts that we will talk about briefly. We first have the globalization, the word globalization, but don't think about it as a political term. Here in our localization world, it has a different meaning. It is a business strategy to make a product global. Okay, so you work in a company, either in a localization department or marketing or any business related scenario. You need a business strategy to make your product global, and this is called globalization in this domain. Now I see many companies, in fact in Disney it's like this as well. Instead of a localization department, they have a globalization department. They call it globalization department, and within this department they do localization. And the person who is the director of this department is the person who decides about the marketing strategy, which markets to enter or prioritize first, and which strategies you need to use to enter which market. Okay, and here one of the interesting questions for us is how to choose languages to localize into. So you have a product, you want to localize into different languages, and you need to make a decision, your decision to choose which languages to localize into. And that is called language theory, another term that can be interesting for you. Now, again, a question for you. What are the criteria for choosing which language to localize into? So, I mean, ideally, you would want all the languages of the world, right? But there are some limitations on that. Like, what are your limits when you want to, or what are your criteria to decide which language to choose? Anyone would like to answer?
Probably size of the market.
Okay, yeah, size of the market. What else?
The demand.
Your own budget.
Yes, the demand, like from where there is demand, like, or like expected demand, we can say. Let's say,
Yes.
like, maybe you are sure that your product will sell in France or it will sell in Japan. Someone said budget. I think it was Paul. The budget also is quite important. It's maybe the most important thing when you are deciding, right? Instead of choosing all the languages, choosing a few, like start with a few, is the like the reason why. I mean, the economy affects that. Like your leadership may say that we have only $10 million for you, and you need to localize with this money, and you need to choose smartly which locales you would use depending on your expected demand from the country, the size of the audience that you may have. Any other criteria that you would be using, guys? I guess it all depends on your business strategy. Your business strategy may be to reach as many people as possible in the shortest time. So you'd be choosing the most spoken languages in the world. So usually you'd start with Spanish, Arabic, French, right? I mean, later I will, in the next, I mean, shortly I will be talking about which language companies usually choose. But another criteria may be how rich is the country to which you want to enter. Like some people may want to start with if they want to sell, I don't know, something, an app on App Store to rich countries. They would first localize into the rich countries that can buy this product, and then go to countries with lower income. Like, okay, this may be a criteria. What else? Any other criteria? Maybe some criteria may be the availability of the translators. You may think that it's not that relevant, but I mean, maybe you want to localize into Irish, and it's like a funny and interesting fact, like that there isn't enough Irish translators to translate into Irish now, because all the translators are busy now translating, and since it's a small country and there are few Irish translators, so you can simply not find enough translators for your project, even if you have the budget and you have the interest into translating into this language. Not having anyone available to do this for you can cause you to choose another language instead. Let me think if there are any other strategy. Yeah, you may target a geography. You may just like want the Middle East, and you would concentrate on the Middle East languages. That may be a criteria for you. And now especially in the case of app stores like Google Play Store, etc., and again with the websites as well, companies decide based on the data that they have. In the past, it used to be like just guesswork, like they would just guess that Japan may be interested in this, or Saudi Arabia can be interested in this. But now they first publish their product in English, and they see that there is a demand. They can just see the analytics that there is a demand from where China, from Ukraine, from Iceland, etc. And they may say, okay, like these people are entering into my product a lot, but they are staying only 1 minute, 2 minutes in the product, but they need to spend more time. And maybe they are not spending more time in this product because they don't speak the language and they just get bored quite quickly. And I would just like translate it into their language so that I would reach them. and you translate one part of the content, you see that there is traction, like more people are spending more time, and then people like companies decide to localize it totally. Usually, again, as a strategy, they don't start like localizing everything. They just localize the pages that the people enter the most. They see that there is an interest, and then they localize like everything that the user will be using just to save money. Because yeah, localization departments are now complaining that they are not having enough budgets, and they need to be more smart about their language choices. Okay, anything that comes to your mind about how they start, etc., like how they make decisions? So the typical classical strategy is J. Typical like starting strategy is this. Do you know what this abbreviation stands for that I write in the chat? First, they localize into fixed, and also they localize into CJK.
I think so. The biggest Western and Eastern languages.
Yeah.
So French, Italian, German,
Yes.
and then Japanese, Chinese.
Yes, and Korean.
And Korean.
That's something that from my personal experience, the video game companies do. They start with the French, Italian, German, and Spanish. And also in the Eastern side, they do the Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. And also they add Arabic as well recently. So that would be 8 languages that they start with. And usually then they add Turkish. Turkish is usually also in the top 10. And then they look at other languages. If like they start earning enough money with this language, they look at the other languages. But this used to be the classical strategy. But as I said, today there is more smart data enabled view like to these strategies. So if they see that there is a lot of interest from Turkey, they will just go directly to Turkey, and instead of doing to these languages, they would just go from English into Turkish, because they don't want to they want to concentrate on one market and just like 1 or 2 markets where they earn money, and they will just go from there. It also depends on what the product is. It may be a product that is needed in Norway for some reason, and it will be just like localizing the Norwegian. I'm really wondering about cases in which the English is not part of the deal, like from, I don't know, from French into Turkish, or Brazilian Portuguese into Turkish, things like, if there are any localization projects like this, and where do they go? How they fare in this world? Because all our teaching, everything is really English, or like English source text based, let's say. Here there is a report of like this was a survey made to many technology companies, and it was asked to them like which language do they localize into, and how many languages do they have in their company. And like nearly 50% of the companies had smaller than 10 languages, less than 10 languages, and only 5% of these companies had more than 50 languages, which is, I think there were like 200 participants, so it's not bad that there 5% has so many languages. And yeah, I mean, the ones that have between 10 and 50 languages is like a lot, so it's not bad. And these are the languages that they prioritize. You see here German, Spanish, Chinese, Greek, Japanese, which is a data point for us. Okay. Any questions? Okay, then let me transition from globalization into internationalization. By the way, going back, you see globalization is abbreviated like this, G11N, and internationalization, it's a super long term, I18N. This one, globalization was a business strategy. Internationalization is a more technical concept, and it's a design process that ensures the product, like source product, let's say, in this case also the source code of the product, if it's an app, it's in a video game, is translatable, localizable, I will say, into other various languages and regions without requiring engineering change to the source code. So the thing is that the thing that we want here is that we just want one code, one source code that can be like when changed from English into French or Arabic, nothing will be broken down, and I wouldn't need to create a copy. This is again like now it's standard, like the not many people make errors in the source code, though there are some traditional people, but in the past you would need to create one copy for Western languages with Latin alphabet, one copy with the Cyrillic alphabet, one copy for the Arabic and other languages, like languages with different alphabets. And then when you make a change in the one with the Latin, you need to remember to make the same change in the other one and the other one. And it was creating a versioning problem, lots of versions. And now there are some coding standards to make the source code so that it is easy to just simply change the language and no big issue will happen. But we still, even today, see problems. Like, let's say you change especially it happens to our Arabic friends, we talk with them a lot, like they change their language from English into Arabic, and normally the language direction should change, but it doesn't change, and the code looks very, like the sentences look like mirrored, and it looks very incorrect. It looks incorrect, or vice versa. You change from Arabic into Latin alphabet, and Latin alphabet looks like in the same direction as Arabic. So this is not a problem of the translators and localization specialists. It's more a developer's problem. It's just for us to know that there is this step and that people should make sure that everything is configured correctly. When language changes, also the measurement units changes, the currency changes, etc. These are very internationalization issues. And the idea is that today we have just like one source code, and all the development is just done on the one source code. If you have heard about GitHub or GitLab, I will write them. These two, GitHub, GitLab. Usually nowadays, companies keep their code there and try to keep like they keep their source code there, and if there are changes made, they are made in a standard way, like they are added to the main code in a standard way, so that you don't have different versions of the same code. It's always one. They call it source of truth, or SOT. Let me write it. So there is always like it's all super important in business to have just one source of truth for the code, for the, let's say you have a glossary or translation memory, that you don't have different version of it, just like one version. When you work in a localization position, you would really appreciate the importance of this, having just like one source of truth. Yeah. Okay, so like examples that the examples that we mentioned in the first part when we were defining localization, the independence from specific language character set. So it should be able to handle both like all the languages of the world. Like the characters will be shown, the Turkish characters, for example, or the Arabic characters should be shown correctly all the time. Now by nearly standard, everyone uses UTF-8, the Unicode standard. The code usually doesn't have specific cultural conventions, but this is important as well just to mention. Nothing should be hard coded, so that like when it's changed, like the text when the language changes, it should be able to change and not remain the same, especially in the case of English. And yeah, some other technical stuff that is written here, like the most typical one is the accommodation of right to left languages. It should be by the standard. It should be able to accommodate left to right, right to left languages, and double byte languages like Japanese. This is an example of what would happen if it's the encoding is not correctly configured. This is a Turkish text. Since Turkish characters were not, I mean, probably they used a Latin 1 character set instead of the UTF-8, which doesn't include Turkish characters like the ch sound and the sound. This creates a lot of problems, especially the letter. It looks like an I, but it's not an I. We have and it's usually like the character set doesn't have it, and it creates these kinds of problems. And you wouldn't want to use a product that looks like this, I guess. That's why it's important um, to make the internationalization correctly. This used to be the typical workflow of a globalization process, like how localization is done, starting from the development of the product and its localization, and then if there's a new version, how it is done. But today we work in a more smarter continuous localization framework, and you have like again one source code, and when there are new code entered, these new strings are sent to a translation management system, and from there it's sent to different translators, and these different translators receive like one sentence, two sentences. They translate them, and it's again pushed back to the source code directly instead of you waiting for the product to be launched and then for a new update in 3-4 months. You just like add, instantaneously the source is updated. There's just like one version of it. That's why we nowadays, later you can check this like workflow calmly, but now just know that the reason why we are receiving smaller and smaller translations is because of this new paradigm. It's a continuous localization. You just receive. Does it happen to you? Like you receive very small translations, like one sentence, two sentences, you translate them and send them back. You feel like, come on, I don't want to spend my time on this one sentence. But yeah, that's the reality that we have today. Okay. Just for you to relax a bit, 2-3 minutes, can you let's do this exercise together. Can you go to Microsoft website, okay, and compare two different versions of it? Like so, here is the link. Let me share it with. Let me share the link with you, or if you can go directly, you can go to Microsoft.com, and at the lower left section, you have the languages and locales here, like, and change it to, I don't know, into Arabic, Saudi Arabia, or German, or Greek, or I don't know, Turkish, and tell me what differences do you see in the main page. Okay, like I'll give you 2 minutes to check, and then we will talk about the differences, like the differences that you may see. If there's any difference with the design, if there are any different products that they show.
Yeah, I think for me, there's some product as not available in Vietnam market, so I cannot see them on Vietnamese website. Yeah.
So the product offering is different. What differences are you finding, guys, the others?
On the German website, there is actually a tab for sales, which there isn't on the Turkish website, and I think not on the Arabic one either.
Okay.
Mm.
So yeah, probably they are very careful about what they are selling and making sure that if they are showing something for sale, it is really, really for sale. I wonder,
I mean,
yeah.
sorry.
No,
I mean
please keep
sales
up.
sales as in discount.
Okay. I was wondering if they have the AI offering everywhere, like in their main website. And I think they don't, like I'm looking at, they have it here in this case. In the case of the English for the Arabic region, they have a special part here for the Copilot AI. Any other differences that you realize? Like now I see that it's even like more homogeneous across languages. In the past, it used to be even more different, but they are trying hard now to make it as homogeneous as possible. But again, the problem of products, if they don't offer it in everywhere, they don't offer it basically. I mean, if it's not available, it's not available. So they need to make the website up to date and remove it if possible. Of course, the prices will be different. If you check I don't know, let's see what happens in the Xbox website. I am in the Spanish website. I realized that like in the case of, where was the Turkish one? In the case of Turkish one, I didn't see in the Xbox website, I didn't see the price, like the like buy now options. Maybe the prices are changing a lot, etc. That's why they don't put them in Turkey. We are having an economic crisis. So that's why maybe they just decided to remove them. And here in Spanish, I see the prices and the possibility of buying directly from them, which is not available in other places. So yeah, just to highlight to you, like the idea was here to highlight to you that even if you go to the same website, you experience different things, and which I mean is expectable. But yeah, I used to show Spotify, the website of Spotify, but now they made it like it automatically redirects you to your country's website. That's why I don't show it. But like the interesting thing that we used to see there is the prices are different. You are buying the same thing, the same like streaming service for the songs, but you pay the different amount of money. The forms were different. In the case of American website of Spotify, you have like for the gender place, you have male, female, and non-binary. But for Saudi Arabia, for other countries, you have the male and female. So they even thought about these like cultural differences in the forms, which was quite interesting to see. And yeah, like websites are different, even though they look like the same, they would change based on the locale and based on the decisions of both the business team, the marketing team, and the localization team. They decide together usually. Okay, so the last part is the content types in localization, like what kind of content do we deal with? And I like the categorization of Google of content types, but I need to highlight that like although there are these 5 main content types that we will talk about, there are also now more and more content types that we can add to this list, and we can discuss what they are. First of all, in localization, we do lots of marketing related content localization, translational localization, online help, user interfaces, the menu items that we talk about, the irritating ones. There's the subtitling and voiceover that is done as well. And this, as of 2025, this has gone to different levels. We'll talk about that. And finally, we have search engine optimization. And you have a class on search engine optimization, so I will not enter into detail. It's pretty interesting as well. And the question that we ask for each content type is like, where will this content go? Where will it be published? For whom it is? Who will consume this content? And why we are translating that? Okay. And another question that we can add is how to localize it. Let's go one by one quickly. The marketing content is the content that you see when you enter to the main website, the landing page, or you may come across it through ads, like digital ads that you may see while you are searching, like spending time on Instagram or Facebook, or it can come to you in the main page of a app store, like when you are downloading an app, you have a page where you have the content. And it's clear for whom it is. It's for the users who you want to onboard, you want to gain, like acquire. It can be everywhere, and the reason why you have it is you want to attract clients. And in the case of marketing content, you need to localize it in a creative way, persuasive way. Like you need to persuade the client to come to your product to use it, basically. And here, I think the most creative type of translation or localization is here, the marketing content. And nowadays, one type of marketing content that is quite famous and a lot of popular, and quite used is the email marketing. We do a lot of email marketing localization nowadays because people like newsletters that land in their emails. They also like to receive a summary of the new products or new features, etc. Or if it's a streaming platform like Disney Plus, Netflix, etc., people like to receive and click on the new series, new movies on this platform, etc. And we do a lot of digital email marketing localization. So it's good to know how to do them, to use a creative and persuasive language in this case. And yeah, here like the culture aspect enters here a lot. Like you need to be culturally relevant. Yeah. So there was the example of you have a sports app. You want the users to use your sports app. You have the photo of someone playing American football, not the soccer. Probably Paula in Brazil, it will not be that attractive, right? Like you would need like a football, the soccer that the Americans call it soccer, but in Europe we call it football. Maybe you need that. If in some other countries, other sport is more famous, like maybe it can be cricket in Pakistan, and you need to change it accordingly, like depending on what kind of sports, like the graphics, I mean, they need to be changed. Yeah, or you need the local sensitivity can be high, like I don't know, some type of content may not be that attractive for some reason in some countries, and you need to be aware of that. So for example, in the case of Turkish Disney, they don't show Kardashians in the first page of Disney because the Kardashians said something politically sensitive about Turkey and they didn't want to show things like this. Like that's interesting. you need to be very sensitive if you are dealing with this marketing content. Okay. The second type of content is the online help content, and it is you want to teach here your user how to use the product. If they have a question, you want them to find their own answer, and you don't want them to send you emails and deal with the customer support, etc. It should be as clear as possible, and its localization should be very clear, consistent. The terminology is quite important in this kind of content. Then we have the user interface. This is the most irritating one because usually you have small strings like one sentence, two sentence. You don't know if it's a verb, it's a noun. You require lots of contextual information from the project manager. A good project manager will provide you all the context about this string, with what kind of code surrounds it, etc. So and it's the worst place to use machine translation, by the way. Like some companies say, okay, I will use machine translation because they are very easy, one sentence, and you see them and like, oh my God, that's horrible. Like it's the easiest place to understand if machine translation is used or not, because yeah, I mean, it can say open. It may mean the command open this, it's closed, open it, or it may be, yeah, our store is open today, right? Like, or yeah, I'm sure you may have come across similar things. Yeah. Here again, consistency is important. And the limitation that we have here is the space. Usually, since they are small buttons, you need to be very economic with the amount of like the size of your word. I like to share the example of Turkish. Like Turkish usually extends a lot compared to English. So let's say that you have a game about animals, and so in English you write so, it's 3 words. In Turkish, if you want to write this word, you need to write hayvanat bahçesi. So let's say that it's a button that is small in English, and in Turkish it should be huge, and this creates problem. Some people say use abbreviations here, but like if you use a lot of abbreviation, then the user may not understand what is abbreviated there, and it will decrease the usability of your product. And yeah, if you make it small, maybe it will not be legible, it will not be easy to read it. So yeah, these are our day-to-day problems with these kinds of things. By the way, not only with user interface, like nowadays, there are lots of content about localization has character limitation, and character limitation is part of the deal with us. Like when you have your phone with you, you receive push notifications. They come to you like, say, watch now the new series from the Netflix. And again, there you have a character limitation. And again, people think that it will be like English. They write it long, and then you try to translate it, and it gets longer and longer, and it creates a problem for you. Okay, so here is an example from Turkish. In English, it looks nice, usable, and in the Turkish, since the sentences are long, they are truncated. It's called truncation when the sentences are divided like this. And maybe you may not understand the verb is in the end, so you may not understand if it's an affirmative or negative sentence, or if it's saying do something, etc. Okay. These are examples of look at the upper part where it says email, password, etc. How it changed from language to language. It's in the case of Facebook. So like a localization team should be really aware of where the translation is going and how it is displayed. Usually we spend a lot of time in the translation tool, but not in the end product where the translation ends. We need to be aware of that and see how it looks. Okay, just give me 5 minutes and I will be completing today's class. since it will be if you need to go, you can go. It's already 12, but I mean everything will be registered, so it will be recorded, and I will be sharing it today directly on the website. Okay, if not, stay with me 5 more minutes and we will finish. The fourth type of content is subtitling and voiceover. You may have tutorial website in the products. You may have marketing content as well, either to tell the user how to use the product or to show how great the product is and why they need to use it. It can be on the website. It can be an advertisement that is shown to you before a YouTube video, etc. And yeah, it's you'll learn more about the subtitling and voiceover, etc. in the audiovisual localization class, but you need to obey the subtitling rules and know the differences between YouTube videos and Instagram videos, which is one is vertical, the other is horizontal, things like this effect. And nowadays with the AI, now it's becoming even more widespread to see automatic voiceover or automatic subtitling, etc. I leave all this to Ariana, who will be teaching you the audiovisual translation stuff. And search engine optimization, different from the other 4 content type. This is done for the machine, not for the humans. Okay, all the others are done for humans, but search engine optimization is done to make your website or product visible on search engines. So when someone search for a best app for fitness on Google or in App Store, in Play Store, you want to be the first in the ranking, not like in the number 10 or 20, because no one will go to the 20th option. They will go to the first, second, third, etc. And to be able to do this, companies create lots of content in their website, like about like some of them are very silly, some of them are very relevant. And if you are a, I don't know, pet nutrition company, you create content about like what is the best dog food for my dog stomach. You search in Google and they write an article about that so that they become the first option. And there are lots of content created like this, and it's translated, which is good for us. We translated it, and usually the idea is to imagine how someone will be, which keyword they will be using and how they will search, like what are, like how a Turkish or Brazilian Portuguese user tend to search for this, and you write the title like this and the content includes the search term, etc. Oscar will be teaching you all the details of search engine optimization and search engine marketing, and he is the best in that. So again, I'll leave that to him. I will skip the second exercise. You can do it if you want. Like it's a website, you decide like, it's like Google, a search engine, and you decide which language would you localize it into depending on what. And if you do it and you want to share it with me, I would be happy later. Okay. And finally, the roles in our localization industry. People usually coming from translation background think that there is only translator, editor, proofreader roles and project manager roles, but it's a very, very diverse industry. There are lots of different roles, from localization engineers to localization project managers, localization specialists, testers, reviewers, and I am now working on an article on different roles in our industry, different roles in the last 1 year in our industry. And I will just show you a snapshot of like what all the roles that I have collected from LinkedIn. Look at this, like there are many, like this is with they all have the keyword localization, and there's localization specialist, project manager, localization content specialist, localization editor, localization account manager, localization strategy lead, localization quality manager, product localization owner, like very, very different roles. And they're, I'm trying to find what are their like connecting competence that they have. It's these are people who studied translation or language in their undergraduate, and they have developed some technical skills that allow them to work in a particular industry. I can share with you later the file if you want to check them. Like, it's quite interesting, and it's just like keep increasing. Like there are these roles, and now there is with the AI. Now there are people who is like AI localization, a QA coordinator, AI UX writer, localization coordinator, things like this. Okay, so keep in mind, like when you are, I mean, we will be talking about job search, etc. But know that there are many different roles that you can land into with your localization skills. And you can work in localization, like they are the buyer side and vendor side, we call them nowadays. Buyer side is the technology companies that we mentioned, like Google, Microsoft. It can be, I don't know, a pharmaceutical company with a technology department, some streaming service, etc. These are all buyer side. And then there is the vendor side, like the translation companies per se. They can be multilingual vendors, or they are called MLVs, single language providers, vendors as well, SLVs, or the international organizations that you may work in, like United Nations, etc., European Union, United Nations. You can check these two links to see the new roles, that like these new job posts that can be interesting for you. Okay. And as a homework, watch this video when you have time. It's about the trends in our industry and how our industry will be changing in the following months. We will talk about it in our digital presence course next week. Okay. And yeah, that's all from today. You can check this presentation, these references to see more on like whatever I told. As I said, we will be repeating everything that we talk about in different classes during this week and next week in more details. And yeah, do you have any questions? I'm done for today.
Thank you. That was very informative, especially for me, kind of like giving an overview of the field. So I'm ready for the whole course now.
Great, Nilgün. Thank you very much for the feedback.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Gökhan.
Thank you. Sorry, I just went a bit fast in the end, but it will be in the recording if you want to repeat it. Okay, so get the rest a bit in 50 minutes. I will see you, and I mean, there will be Juanjo with you with project management, localization project management. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the school. It will be intense, but yeah, bear with us. It will be fun. Okay, see you.
Thank you, Gökhan.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.